morning. Yeah, we'll see how it works. It's as high as it'll go. Yeah, but camera 3, I'd rather show, 5/8 of the screen than an oblique view of that screen. So we're okay. Oh, okay, all right, yeah, I wanted to get the rotation up and get all that out of the way. Anyway, hey, thanks for checking in. See you later. Bye.
You made the stairs so steep, David.
Huh?
You made the stairs so steep. They didn't used to be like that.
I know, they keep getting steeper.
So where are we gonna put the table?
We're gonna put it right up here. So which size did you want? Ann said that she was thinking it was gonna be the 8 foot, 6 foot is what we had.
Okay,
So
so which side do we want?
we'll put the tribute table right here. We're gonna move
That looks good.
these guys here.
All right.
Some here.
Put things down, things down.
Good one.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Where do you want this one?
Ready to talk about grandma?
Follow David, huh?
What's that?
With that chair.
Oh, that last one? Yeah, the last one goes over here.
Probably nobody will sit there because there's no leg room.
Well, we
Or
call
small.
this front row the faux row.
Faux row. Don't sit here.
Well, no, it's a fake row. People see it as a row, therefore it's protection. So nobody sits there, they sit behind it.
Good morning, David.
Where's the table?
What, the table's gonna be there? Where's the
Yeah,
table?
but where's the table presently?
I have no idea. My gosh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Did you want the easel?
Yeah, that would be great. I don't know if you brought the easel or not.
We did, but that's okay. David was probably better than ours. Look!
Flowers are here. Where do we want them?
And that's being webcast right now.
Wow, that's beautiful.
College American.
Who? College American. Oh. Hey, Rich. Hey, Rich.
Hey, Rich.
You're both Riches.
Yes, I saw them both.
Thank you. I gotta go get my real glasses so I can see what's going on. Wow, that's fantastic. Do we have a tablecloth or no?
Oh, we will.
Okay.
Hi.
I'm David.
Hi, David. I'm Rich.
Rich?
He's
I'm also
family.
Rich.
He's the.
You are Rich.
He's family of
Thank
the
you.
parade.
Thank you.
I said,
They were folding chairs when I was here last.
no, it happens with mom, so it's fine. Both families,
Yes.
that's great.
You miss her.
Is there anything that needs to go downstairs? Yep, and I thought about you many, many times when I was taking care of her. Hey, Rich.
Oh,
How are you? Cheers here too. Haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah. It was better than last.
All right.
Nice. Congratulations on your book. Sorry we didn't get to your signings.
Oh, that's okay. Lots of things happening all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
How's sales going? You have another one in the works?
Yeah, I got 2 more in the works.
Yeah.
But neither
Sales,
of
I
them
don't know.
is, neither of them is a
I'm
sequel.
not too terribly concerned.
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble seems to like me a lot, so that's good.
Well, they're really trying to attract people. They're struggling.
Yeah. Well, they just changed ownership.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Who bought them?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Do I
Somebody
need
who
to
bought
buy one?
Waterstones in the UK, and they've apparently done a good job of revitalizing
I
Waterstone
hope it works.
in the face of
But
the
it
giants.
sounds like they're going down the same path as Borders.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing the same things,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
trying to survive.
And I think that's maybe why they've switched ownership, but ousted a few people. I hope
Ah.
it works as well.
What did Borders
I tried
do?
everything to get people to go somewhere else than
Yeah,
Amazon to
yeah.
order my book. Unfortunately, all the other online outlets are much less reliable,
Yeah.
so it's hard to compete.
Does this go in the middle, Susan?
So did you get a deal on the
And we had,
all the books or just the?
No, so I got a 2-book deal on,
Yeah, that's good.
with
That's
Little
great.
Brown.
Yeah,
Published
that's good.
my first book.
Good.
And
I'll
then
let you
I
guys
did
get
a,
around.
I'm doing a separate
Yeah.
project
You
that
can
got
also
bought by
use that
Harper's.
stand over there and move this, so, you know, it's up to you.
Yeah.
So that's the deal. And we're set to brainstorm with my editor what we pitch to Little Brown next. So we'll see if they
Good.
wanna buy more books off me.
Yeah, good.
That's when I'll find out how sales are going.
Who's your agent?
My agent is Kirsten Arvada. She's pretty new on the scene, but she specializes, PS Literary, it's a Canadian literary.
Okay.
And she specializes mostly in speculative fiction, which is sort of why I side with her. And she used to deal with all the foreign rights for all of the big speculative fiction authors. So she used to work with a much larger literary agency, and she did all their foreign rights. I thought, well, if you worked on George R. R. Martin's foreign rights, I'll trust you. You seem like you can take care of my money.
Yeah, yeah. And as many sequels as you want.
Yeah, we'll find out about that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, girls, turn around. Oh, nice, very nice.
Do we look happy or suitably?
I know.
Well, if
I
need it, I think it can go back in the car.
This, Mikey, where's Mike?
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, really?
All right. All right, Rich.
Who's that?
Daddy's work.
That's phenomenal.
We're getting things.
That's
phenomenal.
I know what I did for this one.
No, these are great.
You're not my kids.
Jenny, nice to meet you.
And we're friends with Mike.
Okay.
Well, that was an ominous thing to overlook too.
We were
What?
friends with Lorene.
I think we have more stuff than table.
It's a big question right now. I think the consensus is if Britons leave us successful, they can't. Which is why the European Union is doing everything in their power to make it.
Did you want an easel, or is that gonna be good?
Well, we did have an easel. We have an easel. Girls, easel.
Yes.
Yeah, Rich brought it in, so it's here.
An easel. But we don't know how good it is.
I don't know where it is.
Oh, isn't she supposed to be on the easel?
I don't know if that's gonna
That's the thing, I
fit
don't
on
know.
an easel.
But maybe it'll fit
The
on
whole
David's.
point of a triptych is
To be on
What
David's.
is it? It's here. It got carried upstairs.
Maybe he's still carrying it around.
Just Rich and the
We
easel.
haven't exactly been clear.
All right, so,
You brought it in.
Yeah.
alrighty.
Thanks.
How easy is it to lose a
We prop
black
this on
object?
something. Well, if we prop it on here.
Yeah, you gotta take the outside off.
What's up? I can't write this stuff. Oh, but then we get rid of some of
No,
this
no, no,
stuff.
no, 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 no. This is the
Oh, right.
this is the marketing.
Oh.
You're not getting rid of anything of value.
Yeah, I think it says happy birthday or something on it.
It's got a
Happy
whole bunch of
anniversary.
different stuff.
So this is pasted to the back. Oh, this is sort of pasted to
Wait a
the
minute,
back.
what?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
In fact, I might.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello.
With the handheld mic?
I don't,
You don't?
I don't know how this works.
Oh,
Did
you
it
got
just
it.
sit up? No, it
Yeah.
didn't sit.
No, it goes from the other side. So it's got a nice flat little.
Yes, that's what I did. We've lost the easel.
What easel?
The
The
easel
easel
you
that
put the card
she was
yesterday.
not putting the triptych on?
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's here. It's here. Rich Chamberlain brought it in.
We don't
It was in his
Around it,
hands.
apparently.
And it's here somewhere.
Well, we could, if it's gonna be, well, I was gonna say, if you're gonna put it
Hello.
bring it
David
over.
has one as well. Where's your easel, David?
What do you want to show me?
Here's one more.
Although, if we get that on the easel.
Oh, that's Jolene. I guess I shouldn't sit in the audience and call out, should I? Oh, that's so-and-so, oh, that's so-and-so.
Hi. Hey.
Well, that's your earphone.
Yeah, I haven't adjusted it yet. How you doing?
I am well, how are you?
Good. It's good to see you.
See you too.
Where would you put this?
I don't know, I'll be back in a minute.
It's right here. And
Probably out front with somebody to ask to sign.
we need some alcohol.
I'm happy to.
Alcohol. Alcohol.
There's mine on the table.
I assume those are all
No, you don't put it that way. You don't put it. That's the easel. Right here. Yeah.
Where you want to sit?
And we can, hang on just a second. Yeah. Okay. All right, now.
How you doing? I was gonna say, I lost yourself this week.
Here, I can get it. Okay, we can do it. Okay. I got it.
Oh, you take the whole thing?
I'll take the whole thing.
All
His
right.
mom called her, and he runs away. Call Cherise, call Cherise. Runs off.
How are you doing?
How's married life? Doing all right. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm here.
I'll show you. Girls. Yes. Oh.
Over here? Over here?
Thank you, yeah.
Okay. Now we need to get it cleaned up. Sorry.
We'll talk to Mom about what we're doing. That's so cute.
I'm sorry? I don't know. The only thing I know of. The only thing I know of is this guy here, but that's only one side. And it's got an automatic decline feature. Let's, yeah.
Oh, sadness.
Let's, not use it. Okay. Coming back. Coming back.
Oh, no, sorry, David.
Coming back.
She was backwards, dude. All right. Are we? What is our plan? Where are we sitting? Do we want to speak? Well, what do we have? What do we sit? What do we mom, dad, and Nancy? You and Nancy.
I'm not sure that's right. That doesn't really matter. She said, when is this taken?
I'm good. Good morning.
Buddy's sister. Yeah, so we have basket there. I'm so sorry.
We know it's family. We don't like to think it's not. It'll be a big shift. Real good. That's my kids. I love that
You got so beautiful. It becomes you. You're still tall.
I must admit you there.
Are you living on those streets? There's no one.
Did you know
I'm very lucky. Yeah? Yes. So much. I'm so And that's you again with us for this one we're this one leaves on oh my gosh. What was your favorite animal? Oh, yes.
As usual. That looks good.
I learned that Minnesota.
Testing Minister Mike. 1, And we're going to need to go to the mic up front because this is unpinned webcast, and we want the audience out there. Yes, we will. Yeah, herding cats, right? There's the snacks there on the table. My apologies. Yeah. What do we have? Hey. We got by the way, this card, this card is from Allison's card that is crazy food yesterday. You bet. What did you all bring downstairs? And we can take this downstairs. Okay, let's. Some people go live. Let me set up the table downstairs, and we can transfer all those things downstairs. Okay, keep it like that back there. $85. They're looking about 65. Okay. Sweets on the right, meats on the left. Morning. How are you? Which location are you headed? Oh, okay. Okay, cool. get started. Good.
Oh, well. These things happen. They kept what we want. The box.
Shall we? Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm David Ridge. I'm the minister here at Living Water Spiritual Community. Wow. I so much appreciate all of you being here, but it certainly is no surprise. I mean, we have here this morning, we are remembering a person of stellar light. She brought joy and smiles to the people that she met, at least from my experience. Now, some of you may have other experiences, and you're welcome to share those. In fact, we are webcasting this for friends and relatives that were not able to make it here this morning. So I'd like you to share your experiences, but share them here rather than out there. Okay, so it's going to take a little bit of exercise to get here, maybe a little bit of stage fright you're going to have to overcome, but go to the heart and allow those people out there in internet land to share your experiences as well. Okay? So, with that, let us begin. So take a deep breath. That helps me. It may not help you, but it helps me a lot. All right, so let us begin with prayer. Father, Mother God, we're gathered here within you this morning to give praise to and to appreciate the experience in this life that we have shared with Lorene Bowling. We ask that we may be as secure and peaceful in your embrace as Lorene is, resting with you. Amen. So we come together to bless the life of Lorene and on her journey to her next experience of living. For we believe that the body is merely a vehicle that we use temporarily on our journey in God's eternal love. And so when we see the body in transition, moving from the day-to-day and the familiar and the accessible into that realm that is not so accessible, at least being in touch with Lorene is not a long-distance call. So, and I know some of you don't know what a long-distance call is, but Anne shared with me the obituary, and I'd like to read it for you. It was probably a chilly day in December 1919, on the 14th, that morning when Lorene was born to Johann Ludwig, otherwise known as John Lewis and known as Lou, and Marie Margaret Gabriel Lowe, in Scribner, Nebraska. Lorene, also known as Reen was it Reen or Renee? I always knew it.
Reen.
Reen, okay. I always knew it was Lorene, so maybe I had the more formal association. She was the second of 4 children born in this marriage. Sadly, her mother died when of childbirth when Lorene was just 5. But she didn't lack for supervision or companionship, though, as her grandparents and her 10 other children lived on farms nearby. And she had 40 plus first cousins to play with. Now that's a family. Right? Book the hotel when the reunion occurs. The lure of the Rocky Mountains was great, and as a young woman, Lorene headed west to Denver to attend a school of business. And during World War II, she worked at an Air Force base where she met her husband-to-be, Justice Tucker Bowling. He saw her on a shuttle bus, and he looked her up, announcing to her, "I told my secretary that I was going to marry you." Now, how many of you can imagine getting a phone call and, "Oh yeah? Well, let's talk first, huh?" And he did on April 17, 1943. Because of her husband's Air Force career, they moved often, living in Texas, Kansas, Virginia, New York, and finally Alaska. While it was still a territory. Wow, that was before 59. Yeah. And they retired to Central Point, Oregon in 1955. The 3 children were born to this marriage: Patricia Ann, Gail Isaac Fagan, Susan, married to Michael Thomas Burke, and Joseph Langdon Bowling. Joseph was born prematurely and died soon thereafter. Lorene was widowed in 1965 and relocated to Colorado, where she could be close to her beloved mountains. She continued to work for attorneys and took pride in her work. She was also kind. Boy. And in the spring, when graduating law students mailed their resumes to her office, the partners, needing no help, would simply throw the letters away. She rescued these letters from the trash and sent a nicely worded rejection to the hopefuls. Housework wasn't her favorite activity, but she was a good cook and especially enjoyed sweets and ice cream. When she was directed by older sister Luella to fix the evening meals, she always started by planning desserts. Soul after my own heart. Lorene was blessed with 3 loving and accomplished granddaughters: Jennifer, Raquel, Fagan, Enamorado, and she's married to Robert John Jr. in Maryland. Elizabeth Roseanne Burke, married to Daniel Beckinsale in Australia. And Cherise Estelle Burke, married to Elias Helfer in Denmark. That pretty much covers all points on the globe, doesn't it? Lorene was predeceased by her son Joseph in 1952, by her sister Luella Agatha Dorothy Lowe Carr in 2000, and by brothers Donald Gottlieb Lowe, DVM, in 2004, Delwyn John Lowe in 2008, and nephew Richard Wayne Lowe in 1973. And while in our community, she was involved as a greeter. Now I ask you, knowing Lorene's smile, what could be better to go to a new church and see that smile there, right? She was a frequent student in our classes for many years. She even participated in 2 online classes that I was testing out in 2012 and 2013. Now, she was, 92 and 93 at that time. And she would log on and she'd participate, and it was wonderful. She also contributed to our congregation database maintenance. Every week she would come in and she would maintain the database on attendance, who was here and who wasn't. And that happened until she moved to Loveland 3 years ago. So she was 96 years old and she was online or on our database maintaining. She was an avid learner of new things. Well, she is survived by 7 nieces and nephews, numerous grandnieces and nephews, and many friends. As we look back on our lives, we can see, if we look carefully and with an open heart, that this experience of life is all about learning the beauty and riches of God's limitless love for us. Each of us. Every one of us. But we can get caught up in fear, anticipating the undesired, certain of our own impending doom. Jesus taught us not to fear, regardless of the tribulations confronting us. He said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God. Believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may be also." This teaching from John 14, in my mind, is an expression of our ongoing experience of God's love, regardless of whether incarnate or elsewhere. So, we're indebted to Lorene for the love, the light, and the joy that she's brought with us so often and for so long. And as we think of all the thoughts, of the guidance, the experiences, and the laughter that we have been blessed to receive from her, we appreciate having her in our lives. And it is this appreciation that we've come here today to share. And so, as you choose to share your experiences, please do so here. I will remind you if you forget. We have a stage hook that will drag you up here if that's necessary. So we can share these words that we have had, the experiences that we have had with Lorene. And we welcome your comments. And I ask you to just allow yourself to move from the head into the heart and feel that love that you've experienced in Lorene's presence over the years. And as some experience comes to mind, I ask you to come here and share your experiences.
Hi, I'm Ann Bowling Fagan. I'm the elder daughter, oldest cousin. Mom was an interesting lady, very interesting lady. She was so in control of her environment. And when she was widowed at 45 with 2 teenage daughters, she coped. What else do you do? And she made sure we both got educations. Fed the chickens, and we didn't have any hogs to slop, but I think we still had beef. So she might have been out there filling up the stock tank with the water and whatnot. And then she sold that property and, as David mentioned, moved back to Colorado. And just loved it. Loved all of you in the community and loved being here, loved seeing the mountains and going up and down. You've seen one picture where she's posed on a rock and doing her thing beside the rushing water. Really, really loved being out and communing with nature and that kind of thing. She really was just exemplary that way. So I don't think anything happens by accident. I think that there are no coincidences. So my late husband, Yale, was Jewish. And I went to a service with his cousin last Saturday. It was Shavuos, and it was when Moses came down and delivered the 10 Commandments. Except my cousin said there were 15, but he was clumsy and he dropped 5. Who knows if that's true? Anyway, it was very nice. So I'm looking through their prayer slash songbook. And I said, well, these are appropriate sayings. So let me read you a couple that I thought were from the Siddur. May God remember forever my mother, Lorene Low Bowling, who has gone to her eternal rest. May she be at one with the one who is life eternal. May the beauty of her life shine forevermore. Oh, Lord. And may my life always bring honor to her memory. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember her. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember her. In the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we remember her. In the blueness of the sky and the warmth of summer, we remember her. In the rustling of the leaves and the beauty of autumn, we remember her. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember her. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember her. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember her. And so long as they live, we too shall live. For they are now a part of us as we remember her. Susie says yes.
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 Absolutely.
Absolutely. That concludes mine. Anybody else, please come up and share remembrances, because that's what makes it so personal. That you knew, everybody in this room knew her in a different way. You know, to me, mother-daughter, to Susan, mother-daughter, but different. Susan, you know, had the thankful and thankful task of being her caregiver for the last several years. And they both benefited from that. Mike was right there, her short order cook. Well, we've all heard that story then, haven't we? And she appreciated it greatly. She really basked in the attention and the love that she received from Susan and her family, and of course the two granddaughters who live here. My own daughter, Jennifer, and her husband, Robbie, live in Maryland, but we came out when we could and saw her when we could. And up until fairly recently, she traveled to us as well. Okay, someone else's turn. Thank you.
Competing for who can be last. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mike. I'm Susan's husband, so I am the son-in-law of Lorene Bowling. I first met her when I met Susan, so that's been 46 years ago now, almost. But I didn't really get to know her until Susan and I traveled for 2 years. And at the end of our travels in 1979, she joined us in the United Kingdom and traveled with us there. Little did I know that that was going to be the first of many such efforts and fun. So, but after that, we came back and we ended up living in North Carolina for the next 20 years. So we would travel out to Colorado every year and spend a week with family and then go skiing for a week. And she would host us. We'd stay with her most of the time, if not all the time. And then when we went up to the mountains, often she would go with us, and while we were playing in the snow, she would be cooking and taking care of us all that time. She traveled with us to New Orleans, to Barbados, and to Europe. This is in addition to her own travels to China, Greece, the Caribbean. She was a busy lady. She traveled a lot. And she visited us in North Carolina regularly and was a tremendous amount of help with our kids. In 2016, we decided to travel to Denmark for Christmas to spend the Christmas season with our daughter Charisse, her granddaughter, her youngest granddaughter, and her husband Elias and his family, because his mother was unable to travel for health concerns. We had a wonderful time. Just before we left, she turned 97. And you should have seen the expressions on people's faces on the airplanes when they heard her age as we were traveling. Oh, boy, it was really amazing. We had one last trip together in 2017, which was a road trip to Lewiston, Idaho, to visit some friends from Susan's childhood. We stayed with another Charisse, who was the namesake of Lorene's granddaughter, whom Lorene had known since 1955. Charisse credits Lorene with teaching her and instilling her values for life, including hard work and ethical behavior. Charisse was like the third bowling daughter of that family, and always has been. She added much to our lives over the years. She was, besides Mom and Grandma, a friend and a companion. And she cared for us for as long as she was able, which was actually pretty long when you think about it. Whenever the girls would come home from their school or their mini travels, the first thing they would do is call Grandma and say, "Will you fix chicken and dumplings and enchilada squares?" And she never, ever said no. So she was just a wonderful addition. We were blessed to have her. I will miss her, and I will treasure all of that.
Anybody? We can't speak to her church experience. Thank you, Dennis and Jim.
We didn't know Lorene for very long. We met her a couple of years ago. We were going to the Unity Church in Fort Collins at the time, and Susan brought her to a service up there. And the secretary of the church at that time knew that we lived in Loveland and introduced us to Susan and Lorene. And we were asked if we could pick her up and take her to church on Sunday. And we said, sure. She was actually there. They were on our way. So it was easy for us. And that's how we got to know her. It was a privilege and an honor. I loved her.
I did too. And like you, there are no mistakes. I was reading her obituary, and it's interesting because your folks' anniversary is the same day as ours. And I am in the legal field. I have an elder mom that I've been going to see and taken care of. And so, like Dennis said, it was an honor. We only knew her for 3 years, but I felt like she was my mother.
in the ebb and flow of life that happens to all of us. Her infinite love, her beautiful poise, just her life was an inspiration to me, and I think to many people, as I can see all of you out there. So I think that will stay with us forever. Lorene's spirit is always with us. We carry it with us. And so I feel blessed to have been a little bit part of her life. And thank you all for being the same. And thank you all for being here today.
Before we get started,
sorry, I'm a big sad, but I don't know how this is gonna go. But this is the view of our Lorene. We first met her, my son is 11 now, he was 2. And we moved in above Lorene. And for an older woman to have an active family above her usually can be bad. And she loved us, and she said the best thing that she loved was to hear Ian jump off of the coffee table and do gymnastics. Because she said it brought life. And she loved little kids, she loved Ian. And my older son as well, but she loved the activity that was above her head because it just kind of was a circle of life and gave her just such joy. And then she said she was so sad when we moved out because it was quiet. So that's my Lorene.
I'm Judy, and I was Lorene's caregiver for the last year and a half. And she is a blessing, a wonderful blessing. When I first started with her, she was very active, and we went on walks and went places and did things. But in the last few months, it's been slower and slower. But even as of, I think, 3 weeks ago, we did a walk where I pushed, the last month or so, I've been pushing her in the wheelchair. She loved flowers, and we would stop at every yard and look at the flowers and talk about what kind they were and all. And she did love the outdoors. We would sometimes just sit on the patio if she wasn't up to a walk. Lorene taught me so much. She saved everything, and was, you could tell that she'd been through the war and through the Depression. There was no, it was obvious. She did, and when she would eat, I fixed a lot of her meals for her, and when the days I was there, and she always, it didn't matter what you fixed her, she liked it. But she loved chocolate, and it didn't matter what kind of chocolate. She loved chocolate. But when she would eat her meals, you could put the plate actually back in the cabinet. She had it that clean, and she did not lick it. She would take her spoon, and she would take, and she would go over and over. And I find myself doing that now because it's what she taught me. And she was very particular about her laundry, and there was only certain ways you could do laundry, and I have learned to do my laundry a little different now because of what she taught me. But her love for her family and her love for anybody and her smile. You walk in the door and then there's that beautiful, beautiful smile. And she'd always say, my day's better that you're here. And it just makes you feel, she always made you feel so wonderful and so important. And my life has been so blessed by this lady. And I will miss her desperately. I already do, but it will be a long time before I'll never actually forget her. So I thank you all for letting me be a part of her life. And I hope I blessed her life because she sure blessed mine. This is my grandson who also knew Lorene.
I didn't know her for very long, but it felt like she was my second grandmother. She was so bright and cheerful all the time. She was so welcoming to everybody that walked into her home. A lot of people have taken care of her over the years, and she has just made everybody's life much more better and always put everybody's face in a bright way. But like I said, I didn't know her for very long, but she was a very sweet lady, and I loved to visit her. And I know that we'll all keep her in our memories for as long as we live.
Thank you for wonderful service. I just love the sharing. I'm Susan Harris, and I want to say a few words about the professional side of Lorene Boren. She was so amazing. She worked with me in the estate and trust department of a large law firm. It wasn't the easiest place in the world to work. It was very competitive. Lorene kept the humanity and the compassion and thoughtfulness in this environment. Not only that, I was a baby lawyer. I was assigned to a very knowledgeable and experienced paralegal who taught me the stuff I should have learned in law school but did not. Including the practical side of law. It stuck with me. Everything she taught me, the relationships of how we work with other people, the World War II stories, the Japan stories, the Alaska stories, and all that she did in her amazing life. Lorene, as we mentioned, having the Depression, she recycled before it was popular to recycle, before it was popular to recycle. Whatever she typed up, left for me, they were always on the other side of a piece of paper that had been used on the other side. So I learned, well, I mean, this recycling is a pretty good idea, only they didn't care recycling in those days. And she was so resourceful. We had discussion about how difficult it was to be a single woman and a single mother way back then. And I asked her, I said, how were you able to buy a house at a time where banks only lent to men or married couple? And she said, I assumed someone else's mortgage. And I thought, that is so resourceful. She was brave, she was bold, she was fearless in every way, and she raised the most unbelievable daughters and granddaughters. I just want to thank you all for giving me this opportunity and everyone to share these memories, and of course, get in touch with me if you want 2 or 3 more hours of fabulous.
My name is Joanne, and I met Lorene here at Living Water about almost 9 years ago, I guess. She was the greeter when I came in the door, and she became like a second mother to me. My mother just passed away a year ago in April, and she was on the East Coast. I'd go and visit her as often as I could, but I kind of longed on to Lorene for all that mother nurturing that I needed. I moved here from Alaska, so Lorene and I shared stories and experiences of Alaska and what it meant to us. And I was tickled by this previous speaker's comments about her recycling effort, because when she would go to the bingo game that the church was monitoring, she would go around and she would pick up all the different plastic bags that people were throwing into the trash, and she would take them all home and recycle them. And she was always recycling the plastic silverware here, the silverware utensils, until she was told that probably wasn't a good idea. She shouldn't be washing them in the dishwasher. I loved her. She was resourceful. She was forward-thinking. She was extremely independent. Whenever I would take her home after a function here at the church, I would try to wait until she got into the house before I drove away. She would always outlast me. I would have to leave before she would go in. She was just an inspiration to me. As I moved into my older years, I thought, I want to be like her.
Stories that I want to share. The resourceful talk reminded me of some of these, but a couple from my childhood. In our first house, we had a long-ish gravel driveway, and we would play toll booth. Well, I had a bike that I would ride back and forth. Grandma was the toll booth operator. Sorry, I'm Jed, Diane's daughter. Those of you that don't know. So I would have a basket full of Monopoly money in my bike, ride back and forth, and Grandma, for I think hours, would stand at the porch like this, raising up and down as I handed her Monopoly money. So we played it every time, and I'm sure one of us had fun. I don't know if we ever switched to the other side of the driveway, but so that was super fun. The other game that I loved, when your grandma comes to visit you, you always want to know what she brought for you in her suitcase. And there were always wrapped packages, probably in Christmas paper that she had saved from 40 years ago. But there were tons of wrapped packages of all sizes. And we had a 2-story house, and I would have to go downstairs for hours, it seemed like, as she would wrap them. She would bring yarn, probably from things that she had disassembled from 40 years ago, but she would wrap yarn over the entire upstairs of our house in a maze from the packages, hidden under mattresses, under pillows, in the bathroom, everywhere. So around the banisters, but a maze of yarn from different packages, and I would have to spend probably less than hours detangling everything from each other and winding and going through. So that was the most fun game ever when you're young, and find all the toys that she had brought that were wrapped, and so that was super fun. My last story in this gravel drive, sorry, 2 more. In the gravel driveway, my mother, allergic to tree nuts, we had a huge black walnut tree. So it drops, gigantic black walnuts onto anything under it. Well, Grandma loved the fact that we had free black walnuts falling onto our driveway. So she would travel with an extra suitcase on the way home, full of shopping bags, full of shells, because we would drive over them for her, black walnuts, every time she came home from Maryland. So got 3 black walnuts, de-shelled,
courtesy of our Pontiac or whatever K car that we had at the time. And my last story is something that I remember every time we go out. I'm sure you've seen from the pictures that we love to eat together. She always loved to eat. But when we came out to Baltimore, we took her out for all kinds of seafood, all kinds of things. We would go out. Yep. that was here. But we would go out, we would eat crab cakes, we would be so full. That one. And we'd be like, Grandma, ice cream? There's always room for ice cream. It dribbles down into the extra holes. So every time I'm extra full and the dessert menu comes, there's always room for ice cream. So thank you. I love that you are all here sharing your memories. And
there's that Maryland crab cake.
And dessert.
Yes.
And dessert.
Actually, I have a steak that goes into your story because we were looking through a lot of photos after Grandma died, and there was a huge photo book of when she went to, I think, on her cruise around Mexico. And apparently on this cruise, one of the waiters asked her, "What do you want for dessert?" She said, "Oh, nothing." So what did they bring her? A big plate with chocolate sauce on it that said nothing. She ate it. I'm Trace. I'm the youngest granddaughter of Lorene, Susan's second daughter. And I've been told that I take after the Lowe side of the family, which was Grandma's maiden name. We have some physical similarities, and I've also been called stubborn, or by more polite people, independent. And I think that that's also a grandmaism. She was very independent and stubborn and adventurous. And I know Mom's going to talk more about her adventurousness. But also when we were looking through her things, we did find a little bit of a diary that she took, a travel diary, when she did an elder hostel with my sister. I think you were 10 at the time. Ish. So it would have been around 1995. Grandma would have been around 84, 85. And elder hostel, they went to Park City. And they drove around Park City, and they did lots of activities in Park City, Utah. And one of the activities was they got up in the morning and they went on a hot air balloon ride. So the hot air balloon, it takes you up, it travels a little ways, it drops you back down. Elizabeth loved it so much, she wanted to go again. She was so excited. A second ride on a hot air balloon cost an extra $50. In Grandma's journal it says, "Save that money for gliding." She's 84 and she'd rather be hang gliding than in a hot air balloon. I think that sums up Grandma pretty well. But my husband, he's a Danish fellow, and he couldn't make it back for the funeral. But he also had a special relationship. Can you give me my water? Yes. I had a great plan to cry less and drink more water than I found my water. But he also, it's interesting that so many people think of her as the second grandma and the second mom, because he did as well. His grandmother was in much poorer health at a much younger age than mine. So he liked to spoil her and give her lots of dessert. He would make special Danish desserts just for her, like rice pudding and other things. And he also liked to take her places. So we would always arrange to go out driving into her mountains and let her see the mountains while she was there. So one year I thought we could make this an educational trip, and we went to South Park, that the town, the old west town, where they preserved all the buildings, and they have them all as a little museum. Well, Mom said we should take the wheelchair, because Grandma's getting on in years and nothing's paved up in South Park, and we'd have to take her up and down lots of stairs. So, she didn't want to get in the wheelchair. Come on, Grandma, get in the wheelchair. We gotta do it, Mom's orders. Every time we went to a house and looked in, we'd be sitting there reading the signs. We'd look up, we'd look over, Grandma's gotten out of the wheelchair, she's walking to the next place. Every single time. So eventually I think we gave up and took her to lunch, and it was great. That was my grandma. Independent to a fault, maybe, but it's a legacy I take a particular kind of pride in. So, thank you.
this. I am Lorene's middle granddaughter and Susan's eldest. One of the things that I've had. I said this.
Sorry.
One of the things that I've thought about a lot in terms of my grandmother's life is thinking about how she, of course, impacted all of us, and that's what we're discussing today. And I think one of the things I was starting to think about is that she would be delighted by having children here at her memorial, because she loved children. And now I'm thinking on how she showed me that she loved me, which I feel has had a great impact on my life, because I love children. And I feel like my grandmother was one of my earliest teachers of how to treat children. This woman who never rode a bicycle taught me how to ride a bike. I don't know, did she ever ride a bicycle? She didn't ride a bicycle when she was teaching me how to ride a bicycle, but she taught me how to ride. She also encouraged, there's been lots of discussions of her adventurousness, but part of that is also how she encouraged us to be adventurous. I believe I was 5 years old the first time I flew out to see my grandmother for the first time on my own, from North Carolina to Colorado, all by myself. And her encouragement to do that, and her happiness to have us here, and the things that we would do together while we were here, that was the bike riding lessons, amongst other things, I think has really encouraged not just independence, but also a love of travel, a willingness to learn new things all the time. And I greatly appreciated that. My grandmother was also extremely service-oriented, and offered me opportunities, like when her neighbor rebuilt his deck. I happened to be in town. I was 7. I got to help him rebuild his deck. It was so exciting. But this idea of like, yes, you do service. You help the people who are near you is something that has had a huge impact on how I've grown up and how I think about life. It is an incredibly important part of the family's legacy, has been her service. So to hear all of the people that had the chance to get to know her through church and her service here, that's been really beautiful to hear. On a somewhat lighter note, one of the other things that my grandmother and I share is our lack of attention to detail. We'll put it that way. So there are many such examples in my life, but for Grandma, I was very, I was little. I would say about 3-ish. And my grandmother's longtime friend Howard and my father were working. Howard was working on redoing my grandmother's kitchen, and Dad and Mom and I happened to be in town for some part of this period. Well, they've reached the point it's time to replace the microwave. So they go out, they buy the microwave, they bring the microwave back to the house, and Howard and Dad install the microwave in my grandmother's newly redone kitchen. And then they say, let's wait and see how long it's going to take her to notice. So, shh, we won't say anything yet. So Grandma gets home from work, and she enters the kitchen where Mom and Dad and Howard and Elizabeth are all there. When you entered my grandmother's kitchen in that space, the microwave's about yay off your head. It's very close to you. It's this close. And without giving anybody any time at all, 3-year-old Elizabeth walks up and says, "How do you like your new microwave, Grandma?" And Grandma leaned down and said, "Thank you, sweetheart." Because she knew that she hadn't noticed, and she knew the adults had set her up. And that's one of there are many such stories in the family. And amongst the other things that I appreciate is the fact that my grandmother passed on a legacy. We can laugh at ourselves, at our foibles, at the things that we do that are funny, and it's a really joyful legacy to put in life.
I have too many things to say, and I won't say them all, I promise. But we do have a picture that flashes here on occasion of Ty Clements. I don't know how many of you remember him. But at her 90th birthday party, he wrote this poem for her. And they had a lovely relationship for quite a while. And Ty has passed on, as I understand. But he wrote this for her. And since the celebration, her birthday was on December 14. So it was near Christmas. So he wrote it kind of in like a Christmas tree, and there is an angel at the top. And it says, Lorene, loving, awesome, awesome, playful, compassionate, caring, heart-centered, generous, spiritual, faithful, joyful, divine, sock darner, resourceful, sensitive, frugal, hard worker, light-filled, heavenly, beautiful, wonderful, angelic friend. He wrote that in 1990. He read it at her 90th birthday party that we had, and a number of the people from this congregation also attended that. It was a special time. And I'm Susan, I'm the younger daughter. I apologize, we have these very beautiful pamphlets that we're all left at home, my house in Loveland.
Details.
So, details, yeah. But I appreciate it, we all love, this photograph was taken by this church, and it's there as well. We have used it numerous places, Mom loved it, we loved it. It's a gorgeous picture. So thank you all very much for giving us that gorgeous picture that we've appreciated for the last 10 years. At the bottom of this, we had a thank you to our visiting angel, Judy Graff. Phenomenal help for the last 18 months of Mom's life. Just couldn't give from heaven, couldn't ask for better. We have a cousin, I think she's the youngest cousin of our set, and her name is Cheryl, and we call her Cher. And she sent us, she wanted you all to know something about her Aunt Reen, and how Reen came about. So my daddy was from the South, and he was lazy, and he liked to do nicknames all the time. So he said Lorene was too difficult, so he called her Reen. Now, somewhere in returning here, she claimed her full name back, and she started introducing herself to everybody as Lorene. So I never got a clear answer on did she prefer that. I assumed she did because she changed what people called her. But anyway, this is a picture, and you can't see it very well. I'm going to put it on the table if you'd like to see it. There's a big tree here. You did not go out to California and visit Aunt Jane and Uncle Don without a list of chores. Jane always had compiled it, and you got to do the work. And everybody, those were the rules, and they all enjoyed working together. So, Cher said this: as you tell Reen stories during her celebration of life, here's one I'd like to share. The picture was taken at my dad and Jane's house in Winters, California. I titled this picture, The Winters Lumberjacks. The 7 of us took down the tree pictured in the background, cut it up, and hauled it away to be split later. This obviously is taken on the first day, since we're all still smiling. Aunt Reen insisted she could help. Thank you very much. Even though she had a broken ankle and needed a crutch to steady herself. This is just one example showing how determined she was. And that was true. Mike and I sometimes, as she got older and more feeble, we'd have to interfere because she was doing things that were not safe for her. She never understood that. Not one time. Not one time. And then another thing I wanted to do. So this is, my younger daughter has written a book recently. She dedicated it to her grandmother. And the whole family is so excited by the dedication. And what Charisse wrote to her grandmother, Lorene, was, and the book was it only came out on April 2nd, so it was real close. To my grandmother, Lorene Bowling, who worked for the U.S. Air Force and never let her male-dominated society, or anyone for that matter, dictate how she would manage her life. That was Mom. A blessing she gave me on the Saturday before she passed on Monday. I was distressed because she was having a hard time breathing. And she said, "I'm sorry you're distressed. I'm very peaceful." That was such a gift. And as she got frailer, and I was checking on her every night before I went to bed, every single night it was, "I love you, sweet dreams, more blessings." So I know she's here with us and with each and every one of you. She loved this church. Thank you so much for being part of it. Thank you so much for giving her a mission in her 90s. She really, that was so important to her. She lived a life of service, and she was very grateful to be here. And thank you all for coming today. We really appreciate it.
Could you find paper plates? Plastic plates? Not yet, but after this finished. I'd like to share a. I'd like to turn the volume down. So when I sent a notice out in our newsletter to the newsletter list about Lorene's passing, a friend of hers forwarded this, and I meant to read it earlier. I will share it now. Bill Martin offered this. He said, "Lorene was always a good friend to me, and I was saddened to read of her passing in the email. I only hope Lorene considered me to be a good friend to her. About 8 years ago, I returned temporarily to the States and needed a place to stay. Lorene cheerfully took me in the whole time I was in Colorado. Every memory I have that includes Lorene is a positive one. The sunshine she brought into the world is missed, but we are all the better off having her memory." So, Jesus has offered us a number of lessons that give us comfort in these times of tribulation. And he is quoted at one point as saying, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Do not let them be afraid." And so it is that our embrace of Lorene and our experience of love that we have offered to and received from Lorene is testimony to the undeniable fact that we are all swimming in this ocean of unconditional love. And it's up to each and every one of us to accept that and to express that as our means of bringing God into this moment. And Lorene was exemplary in that demonstration of unconditional love. I shared at the internment the other day that ministry is a bit of a challenge, and from time to time there are challenges that the minister must face. Well, Lorene was always there, not necessarily to say that I was right or that ain't it awful, but rather just to embrace me and let me know that she cared. And what a wonderful, wonderful experience it is to have someone like that in your life. So we're indebted to Lorene for the love, the light, the laughter that she has shared with us. And we are so blessed to have her in our experience. So, Lorene, we appreciate you. We love you. We embrace you. And we do not say goodbye, but rather we say
good afternoon and Godspeed on your way. Remember that as the Christ is in Jesus, so the Christ is in each and every one of us, as Lorene so ably demonstrated. We are one in spirit. So, Lorene, we let you go on to your new experiences of the expression of God's love. We behold you as God sees you, a radiant, ever-living, ever-loving child of the Most High. And we release you to your highest good. So, Meister Eckhart in the 13th century said that when you pray, gratitude is enough. There is no need to beseech or to call upon God for a particular action, but rather to just be thankful for that which is. And perhaps the most profound expression of gratitude is unconditional love. So I'd like to complete this dedication, this celebration, with a practice that we can all use to bring to mind Lorene and to hold Lorene in our hearts. And that is to, excuse me, that is to contemplate the experiences that we have had with Lorene, where she demonstrated that unconditional love. To feel that experience, literally feel that experience of love that is expressed by her and that we have expressed to her. So as we bring to mind this experience of love that Lorene demonstrated, allowing us to move into this feeling of unconditional love. Focusing on that, feeling how that moves through us and into this moment. And in that experience of unconditional love, let us offer this. Father, Mother God, we give thanks for this experience that we have had in this association and loving life with Lorene. We give thanks, O God, for the strength that you offer to us through your love. We ask for the guidance that will lead us on our way as we make our own adjustments in the days and months to come. And we give thanks to the grace, the understanding, and the peace you bestow upon us through your love. Amen. And thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to celebrate Lorene's life. We have food downstairs. We've got coffee downstairs. Food from the on the meat eater side. There's probably some vegetarian stuff down there, and also for those of you who can't make another minute go by without carbs, we've got plenty of carbs downstairs too. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Bathrooms are also downstairs. So, last I recall,
There were so many. We had one of the mom at this age. First time I looked at her.
serving utensils do you need?
Oh, really? So that's a big
On the phone line, even as the daughter, if one of they're in the same place, it's
Yeah, Morgan, I know this
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for coming today. See our Flightstone project out here? Oh no. But we're finishing that off over there. Well, that's just the start. That's just to allow us to spread it out, see what. Yeah, that was Denver landscape church, Walton No, Lowe's actually donated the Wilson place for the wall. David and I were given 2.3 backfill and the 150 stones. It's been quite a project the last couple of years. No, my back to good place. Thank you very much. Anyway, and then we're going to a purple. Vertical. No. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Good to see you. Well done. Thank you. Oh, I still have
It's just like here. Folks come away and you get just gets there. It's the whole struggle of this is the connections of folks. This is everybody's experience. It's not mine. All this connection, the grandparents, the kids, all of these people. Whatever happens, something important happens.